World War II is recorded as one of the most horrific and darkest periods in human history. This massive conflict went far beyond a simple military clash between nations and was filled with extreme events that tested global ethics and humanity. Among them, one of the most terrible and cruel tragedies was the systematic genocide orchestrated by Nazi Germany. At the center of this racial discrimination and mass killing across Europe, the Nazis asserted their ideological superiority, ruthlessly taking the lives of millions of innocent people. The most symbolic site of this genocide was Auschwitz. Located in the small Polish town of Oświęcim in southern Poland, Auschwitz was not just a concentration camp, it became a factory of death, where Jews and many other groups were brutally murdered. Auschwitz is regarded as one of the most tragic legacies of World War II, a place where human dignity was utterly trampled. Today, Auschwitz is more than a historical site of past tragedy. It serves as a global warning and a meaningful lesson in history. Remembering and reflecting on this tragedy is not merely about recalling the past, but a process of introspection for a better future. Auschwitz was established in Poland by Nazi Germany in 1940. Initially planned to hold prisoners of war, it transformed into the center of systematic genocide as the Nazis' policy of racial cleansing took shape. Under Nazi ideology and policy, Auschwitz was equipped with facilities designed for the mass detention and extermination of people. The camp was divided into three main areas. The first, Auschwitz III, served as the administrative and management center, where political prisoners and POWs were detained. Here, the Nazis experimented with gas chambers to maximize the efficiency of killing. The second, Auschwitz II-Birkenau, was the core site of mass extermination. Gas chambers and crematoria were heavily installed here, and most Jews and minorities brought from across Europe were killed immediately upon arrival. The third, Auschwitz III Monowitz, was designed for forced labor. Prisoners were forced to work under inhumane conditions to produce war supplies for Germany. The operation of Auschwitz went far beyond a typical prison camp and revealed the brutal planning and execution capabilities of Nazi Germany. It is estimated that over 1.1 million people lost their lives here over 5 years of operation, making it one of the most systematically executed sites of genocide during the war. Auschwitz especially served as a center for the imprisonment and extermination of Jews. Nazi Germany defined Jews as subhuman and executed the so-called final solution with the intent to eradicate them completely. Jews arrested across Europe were transported to Auschwitz by train. Upon arrival, Nazi officers separated them into two groups: those deemed fit for forced labor and those sent directly to the gas chambers. Those forced into labor endured such extreme conditions that most died within weeks from hunger, disease, and overwork. The gas chambers, on the other hand, were the fate of the elderly, women and children, those deemed unproductive by the Nazis. These victims were murdered using Zyklon B gas, which could kill hundreds in minutes inside sealed chambers. Their bodies were then cremated. This inhumane and efficient method of mass killing starkly revealed the cruelty of the Nazi regime. Life for prisoners in Auschwitz was unimaginably miserable. Upon arrival, all personal belongings were confiscated and a serial number was tattooed on their bodies. This dehumanizing act stripped them of their names and identities, reducing them to mere numbers. Food rations were grossly inadequate, consisting of watery soup and a piece of bread far from sufficient for survival. Prisoners, already starving and malnourished, were subjected to daily forced labor and suffered from cold, disease, and despair. Women and children faced especially dire circumstances. Women were often used as subjects of inhumane medical experiments conducted by Nazi doctors. Pregnant women and children were usually executed immediately upon arrival. Children, unable to perform labor, were considered useless and sent to the gas chambers. Their lives ended before they could truly begin. Those who survived bore deep physical and psychological scars. Many continued to live with the painful memories long after liberation. Today, Auschwitz is not merely a remnant of the past, it is a symbol and warning of mistakes that humanity must never repeat. Designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979, Auschwitz is visited by millions annually. Visitors witness firsthand the horrors of the gas chambers, crematoria, and personal belongings of victims, gaining a deeply reflective experience that transcends historical recall. Auschwitz also serves as a warning against the racism, hatred, and persecution that still exist today. The lessons learned from history remain relevant to our present and future. Auschwitz continues to awaken a sense of vigilance, ensuring such tragedies never happen again. Auschwitz stands as one of the cruelest and most tragic events in human history. It is not merely a remnant of war, but a vivid symbol of how humanity can be destroyed. Yet, it is more than a monument to cruelty. It represents reflection, hope, and human potential. Remembering this tragedy is the first step toward building a better world. The effort to uphold peace and human rights begins with memory, and this memory will remain humanity's most powerful legacy for future generations. Why must we remember Auschwitz? To never forget the lessons learned through horrific history. Humanity has made many grave mistakes, paying the price in millions of lives. Auschwitz is one of the most dreadful examples, and remembering it warns us not to repeat the same errors. As the saying goes, memory is the most powerful weapon to prevent the repetition of history. Because it's not just about one group's tragedy, it's a universal issue. Nazi Germany targeted Jews, minorities, the disabled, and political prisoners alike. Prejudice and hatred toward minorities formed the backdrop of this genocide. Even today, ongoing discrimination and hate crimes around the world remind us that the past is not entirely behind us. To reaffirm the value of human dignity and equality, the essence of this tragedy lies in how people treated each other. The Nazis declared certain groups inferior and devalued their lives. That mindset is not entirely a thing of the past. Prejudices still exist, and remembering Auschwitz compels us to reflect and uphold the dignity of all people. As a symbol of peace and reconciliation, Auschwitz has evolved beyond a record of tragedy into a global symbol of reconciliation. Recognizing the suffering of not only Jews, but many other groups encourages shared healing and understanding, reinforcing international solidarity and peace. As a responsibility to future generations, those unaware of history are at risk of repeating it. Educating young people about Auschwitz goes beyond teaching history. It's essential for building a better future. In a digital age where hate and misinformation can spread rapidly, understanding historical truth is more critical than ever. Lastly, remembering Auschwitz is a tribute to the victims. The millions who perished in gas chambers lost their voices forever. By remembering and sharing their stories, we ensure that they are not forgotten. This is more than preserving a record, it's proof that their lives had meaning. Auschwitz is not merely a symbol of horror, but also of reflection, hope, and the resilience of humanity. To remember this tragedy is to commit to a better future. The effort to protect peace and human rights starts with remembering the past, and that memory remains the most powerful legacy we can leave to future generations. Let us never forget this tragedy, and through it, learn from history and shape a better tomorrow. Auschwitz is not just a tragedy of the past, it is a living reminder and a solemn pledge for us all.